Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PlayStationGL for some more F1 action. This is Season 26. This is the F3 tier, and we are now on to round 10 out of 14 in this championship. It is the Chinese Grand Prix around the Shanghai International Circuit. If you weren't with us last time out, for the first time in what feels like a long time, Calsper didn't win, partly because he wasn't there. It was Ginger who took advantage of the dominant McLaren's absence to take his first victory of the season at Suzuka. 34 points separating the top two in the championship now. 16 points, of course, for a win. So with 5 rounds to go, it's definitely possible, Sam, that Calsper could get beaten, but we'd be very surprised if that happens.
Oh yeah, but I'll tell you something now. This is a track that Ginger would be loving to have right now, and I think Calsper as well, of course. But you know, they talk about this track being favoured towards the controller more than the wheel, and they're both on the controller. But for Ginger especially, I think he will be looking at winning this race. If he wants to win, if he wants to win this championship, he needs to win this race. If Calsper wins or even just beats Ginger today, then in my opinion it's game over, because if you get 100 points in a PSGL season, you've got to think there's only 14 rounds and everything. That's enough to say that you are literally on, or well, to be world champion in the tier.
Oh, definitely. I think if Calsper takes a victory tonight, it is going to be very hard for anyone to really catch up. Probably the ideal situation for the championship, at least, sees Ginger taking the victory, but even then, could probably do with Calsper having some bad luck. And to be fair, Calsper says he doesn't really enjoy this Chinese track, so we'll have to see how the drivers can do. We'll have 18 minutes of qualifying, and then, of course, a 28-lap race. It was a very exciting end to the Japanese Grand Prix as well. Kazizel nearly coming to blows with Lars. In the end, there was no penalty for that, and that is how Ginger ended up taking the victory. We saw Simply take his first podium of the season, and by far the best result for the AlphaTauri team with second place, and it was a third position for Black Phoenix, keeping up his run of podiums as it currently looks like a very overcast Shanghai International Circuit, and that is always a risk around this track, always the possibility of getting some rain.
Yeah, and this is a track that under overcast conditions actually favours the teams more a little bit, because the tyre temperatures, they do go through the roof sometimes around this track, and keeping tyre temperature down, especially on the softs especially, of course, keeping tyre temperature down is so important, and it's so difficult around this track especially. And I'm not sure, is that a little bit spray? No, it must have been just my eyes there. But keeping tyre temperature down is so important. And if you don't do that, you're going to be spinning on your lap. And furthermore, in the race, like after 3 laps, these tyres are dreadful. Well, the softs are dreadful to drive on.
Yeah, definitely. You do see a lot of people go for the 2-stop strategy around here if they are starting on the soft tyres. And sometimes when you see smaller grids, drivers do sometimes feel like they need to take the need to start on the mediums, as we're seeing Black Phoenix leave the session. Codemasters do seem to be doing some maintenance, so this could be a very interesting qualifying and race for all of the drivers. As I was saying though, 2-stop strategy is very possible, soft, medium, especially if we get a safety car. Otherwise, you'd expect everyone outside of the top 10 to probably start on the medium or the hards, because we've seen on this game already, this alternative strategy works really brilliantly. That could well be the case for someone tonight.
Yeah, and definitely if you're sitting 11th place right now, you must feel very fortunate. And, you know, I must say, like, obviously it was a gutting feeling for me yesterday seeing someone outside the top 10 beat me to the line by a second at a race I did really well upon. But, however, that is the case of this game, and it is the case for the season in general. We've seen a lot in PSGL F1. Haven't seen it much in F3 because Calsper's been so dominant, but in F1 we've seen drivers come from 11th to win the races, and well, that's just the whole reality really of this game, that the alternate strategy is good. And you know, it seems to be a problem that not many of us can really think of how to fix it, but in my personal opinion, I really don't like it, because really whoever gets pole here tonight, I mean, it's going to have to be a very difficult task for them to go on to win.
Yeah, most definitely, and we'll see if this man can get pole then. Calsper chucking his car around this very long turn 1, just showing what Sam was saying about killing the tyres as you come through 2 into the left-hander at turn 3. Being careful on the traction as you head through turn 4. The quick right-hand kink at 5 to where Daniel Ricciardo made a fantastic overtaking manoeuvre in 2018 on Valtteri Bottas. The hairpin at turn 6, bringing to an end the first sector. Another fast sequence of corners here through 7 and 8. Again, through turn 8, that front left tyre takes an absolute hammering. Need to be careful not to run too wide, otherwise you will compromise your line as you come through turns 9 and 10. Onto this short straight now where you'll want to get a good exit to make sure you're within DRS range at the activation point as we come to the end of the second sector. As you come through turn 11, the long right-hander past the grandstand at turn 12. Be careful in the race if you're stuck in the dirty air of a car in front of you. Slight banking at the end of the corner for turn 13, and then this extremely long straight. DRS open partway down it. Expect to see a lot of overtaking manoeuvres taking place on this straight. Heavy braking for the slowest corner on the track at turn 13 and 15 on the exit. Then need to be careful here at turn 16. No virtual Grand Prix lines from the drivers. Kalsper heads into the pit lane. You won't get away with doing that too often in the race, running off onto the runoff area, because the drivers have been warned about that. It is currently Kazizel who has gone fastest of everyone with a 129.424. As a comparison to the times we were seeing in other tiers, F2 had a 128.811, F4 was a 129.3 dead. So a very respectable first one from Kazizel. You get the feeling if any of these drivers can get into the 128s, might well be good enough to secure them pole position.
Yeah, as we saw in F4 it was a 29.3, and in F2 of course it was a 28.8, so we are looking at the very high 28s, and like you said, if you are going to get a 28, it's very likely to be pole position. We're looking in the mid-29s at the moment. They will get down furthermore in the session, I reckon, and well, we're getting closer to it already. Ginger setting a 29.1, but we're still yet for half the field pretty much to set a lap time, but it's a really good start from Ginger. He's setting that early pace there with the 29.1, and I don't think really we're going to get down much further, maybe a 10th or 2. Other than that, I can't really see us getting into the 7s or 6s.
No, that is a fantastic time for Ginger then. 129.149, and Calzo jumped up into second with a 129.278. That is exactly what Ginger needs to do. Really needs to take the victory here at this race to have any chance of getting the championship going onto the next few rounds. Mathematically, it won't be decided tonight, but could well pretty much be decided if Kalsper ends up taking the victory. Then it is Bahrain next week before we head over to the Americas for Canada, United States and Brazil. Interlagos will be the season finale. So most of the drivers have done their first lap. We'll go on board with Ferreira, who's just coming onto these. He's been promoted from a reserve now into the Racing Point team. Managed to score points in both of his reserve outings so far. A 4th a couple of weeks ago in Vietnam, and then a 10th last time out in Japan. So we'll see what he can do down here as he comes down the straight. You can see other drivers getting out of the way. Could be a bit of a slipstream fest in the race down this straight. Drivers are going to want to make sure if they're close to being overtaken, perhaps into turn 10 or 11, they might just let the car ahead in front of them just to make sure they get the DRS down the straight.
Yeah, and here comes Ferreira coming across the line then. He has got into second place there, so that's a really good lap time from Ferreira. But nice and early here, it's going to be very difficult really, because we have still got these guys here at the back still yet to set a time, but we've seen this from other tiers and everything. A lot of people get mischievous, they decide not to set the best laps they can. They decide to almost purposefully try and go for that 11th place and 11th place at highest, and I guess that's a little concerning because they know that that strategy there is better. If they do start in that 11th place, they are in the best position. However, this is China. We could see a little bit of rain in the race, so let's not put out that reality. And I'm on board with Black Phoenix right now. Seems like a really good lap through here as he's just ended through sector 2. Just want to check his sector times just to see, because it seems to be pretty decent through here actually. So let's just see through sector 3. Didn't really hook it up perfectly, but it looks alright. Excuse me, DRS open. And as he comes through this very long straight, one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar and the PSGL calendar, of course, through the second to last corner we go. And here you want to be braking in between the 150, and he decides to pit otherwise, so never mind with that one.
Yeah, we are seeing Kalsper's gone out on the medium tyres to try and set a time at the moment, so he's the only driver who seems to be doing that. We'll have to see if it works for him, because with such a tight grid, he could find himself starting a long way down on those mediums. We've just seen Boss Wanted go into 4th position with a 129.399. Here comes Kalsper. Here comes the championship leader round the final corner. And that's for danger. We've got such a full grid here that I'm sure was a fantastic lap from Kalsper. But no matter how hard he tries, he's going to struggle to get any higher up than that 15th position, you imagine. As we've seen, Young Power has managed to go off the circuit, it looks like, coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, and where is he? Oh, he's interestingly parked in an awkward place as he's out, isn't he? So I've just noticed that myself there. I didn't really notice that, but yeah, Kalsper would not be really getting any higher, I reckon, on those medium tyres. That's a really good lap time of 30.1 on the mediums. Couldn't ask for any better, really. Only a second off the soft time, and they do say that it is around a 1.2 seconds difference between the softs and the mediums time. Don't get me wrong on that, because I don't know if that's exactly correct, but that's what they say. The times seem to be different. Oh, Fabry completely abrupting his lap completely there, getting way too much turning on the exit. But Kalsper there in 15th place. I reckon he will go on to the mediums. I do reckon he will have a go, but I mean, down at 15, I don't think he'll be too bothered really on those medium tyres. He's got to see how those medium tyres work and what their pace can be compared to the soft tyres, and I think this is just good data for him to say he needs to use the medium tyres.
Yeah, it's very possible. We'll see what he goes for then strategy-wise. Lars is looking very good at the moment, 3 tenths quicker than his personal best, so he keeps this up through the final sector. He could get onto pole position and maybe give himself a chance of getting that elusive first victory. Definitely one of the fastest guys in the field. Somehow has only got 3 podiums this season, despite crossing the line first on 3 separate occasions at least, as he comes through the hairpin there, nails that absolutely perfectly. Heading over to the right hand side of the track then for the final corner. Could Lars become the first driver to get into the 1 minute 28? He came very close to invalidating there, but he has got it perfect into the 128 for Lars. 128.996. Kazizel comes across the line just ahead of his teammate into 2nd position. If he hooks this up, we know how good Lars is. Tonight could really be a good opportunity for him to take that victory, because he's still in that fight for 2nd place at the moment. You've got Ginger on 65 points, Black Phoenix 57, Lars on 51, and this man in the Ferrari, Zach, who has invalidated his lap, he is currently 5th in the championship on 50 points. Any one of them could end up taking that runner-up spot, even if the championship looks to realistically be Kalsper's.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for Lars this season. He could have had so much more this season, really. A couple of wins, he could have been closer in the championship, and well, he's kind of bolted it himself. He's not really been anywhere in the last few weeks, and his teammate kind of likewise as well. His teammate Cohen, who's just had a spin as well, 2 DNS in the last 2 rounds, and he's a bit on bad form at the moment, Cohen, and he'd be hoping just to get that time up a little bit, but he did make a spin out of one of the exit the corners, which is just not a good sign there. However, we look at Lars could have had so much more this season, Ginger could have had so much more this season, and Ginger is suddenly coming into the frame, but Kalsper at the moment, if he was to start 15th, that is heavily risky really, because he knows that he's got the pace here, because he set his time on the mediums, and you know, if he was to start on the selective tyre the same as everyone else, he may genuinely be way quicker than these guys, and therefore risk himself of potential penalties, potential wing damage, or anything like that. So, for Kalsper, it's a good thing that, you know, at this current point, he's not rushing or anything, and but he's set his time on the medium tyres, and his pace right now is assessed towards those medium tyres. As for everyone else, it's assessed towards the softs, and because of that, Kalsper genuinely could be taking a bit of a risk if he doesn't set a proper soft lap time.
Yeah, could do indeed. He does seem to be going out again on the soft tyres, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do. Calzo has now gone fastest of everyone. It was briefly Ginger in the Alfa Romeo, so a good performance from Calzo, yet to get a podium. So far this season, he looks to be changing that if he can finish in first place. We saw a decent lap from Cherry Tupai, put him up to 5th place as well. And it's safe to say Renault haven't had the greatest season. They got 18 points in the first race. Between the two of them, they've only managed to get another 23 since then. So maybe tonight could be a bit of a recovery drive. We know that some of the drivers have had to miss different races for various reasons. Boss Wanted, his teammate for tonight, Gabri, is just coming around the final corner. He is reserving tonight. He's currently in 30th position at the moment. So Pit Matt, gotta say, he's in that prime position at the moment, but it's so close down there. Make a mistake on your next lap and don't manage to set a fastest time, you could end yourself going a long way down the order.
Yeah, this is where it becomes a bit of a lottery here, where all these guys who want to do that alternate strat, they will be thinking about, I want that P11, how can I get that P11? And, you know, the unpredictability is that people will be trying to get that 11th place if that is their target, and some will want to improve right now, others wouldn't, and all these drivers will be looking for that, simply on the medium, possibly looking to start on the mediums as well, but those inside the top 10 and everything, look how close it is between them and the bottom half. They seem very, very close, and well, I think it's going to be a fight for 11th. There's going to be a fight for pole as well, which Calzo currently has. So that's a really good lap time from Calzo there. We've got 3 guys into the 28 right now, because Zizzle very close to it. It's going to be a really, really good end to this qualifying session.
Yeah, definitely. Most of the drivers now are into the pits. It's just Kalsper heading out on an older set of soft tyres, so he then dives into the pits. Interesting that he went to do that. I think he suddenly realised starting this race on a set of soft tyres that have done 1 hot lap isn't exactly ideal. Starting on one that has done 2 hot laps is absolutely awful. Simply not looking to replicate his heroics from last time out, where, to be honest, he did take advantage of the penalty situation absolutely fantastically to get himself promoted up into 2nd place. It definitely caught me by surprise, and I imagine it maybe caught you by surprise as well, Sam, because we didn't really consider him for a podium last time out, but did really put in a fantastic performance.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen Simply this season do much. And where is he in the championship? And how many races has he done? He's trying to have a look.
He's
where
8th in the championship. He has done 7 races, to be fair, but last time was by far his best result. He's, I believe, only his 2nd top 5 finish.
Yeah, his name is Simply Rush on it, and that's why I probably couldn't find him. But yeah, he has been racing quite a few races, hasn't he? But he's never really seemed to be on our cameras too much. We haven't really seen much of him this season. I mean, 6th place, 5th place was his highest, and furthermore, 6th place he's been getting quite frequently often, as we see. But we haven't really seen him, 6th place he's been getting quite frequently often, but we haven't really seen him near a podium or challenge for a podium, and he has now, and he's got a podium, and I think that'll give him a little bit of a confidence boost. But right now he's sitting down there in 17th, he's not really urging, and I don't think he will get out on the sauce, so we definitely know that Simply is definitely looking for some sort of different strategy outside the top 10, but it seems very close though from Kalsper upwards, because we don't know if Kalsper's going to set a really good hot lap on the softs, and everyone else is looking for the softs right now on their out lap. The only one in the pits right now is Boss Wanted, and I mean, he does not have time to get out on the track.
No, Boss Wanted will have to stay in the pits, so 8th is the... Remains to be seen how far he gets pushed down the order, because I do imagine we will see some improvements. Kazizel was up to back off Gabri now, currently in 30th position. He's going to be one of the... No, he'll get across the line just in time, so if he wanted to, he would be able to set another hot lap. Whether he'd have enough tyres to do so, I'm not sure, as it looked as though he was saving a bit of ERS there just to make sure he doesn't run out before the end of the lap, as Simply has retired from the session in the pit, so he won't be starting any higher than at 17th place. Pit Matt retiring as well, and I'm not sure if that's actually out on track anywhere where Pit Matt has retired from the session. We might just see his Renault off in the corner from this onboard shot from Cohen, so not sure if he has made a mistake or he made a mistake early on his lap and just decided that he had had enough. So we are getting towards the business end of this qualifying session. No improvements at the moment from Gabri, so he won't be able to improve. The first man who's going to be able to complete his final lap by the looks of things is going to be Lars. He's not improving at the moment, still a 10th off his personal best. Only needs to find just over a 10th of a second to get himself onto provisional pole. It's looking very close between the top three at the moment, but we have seen a few mistakes from different people on these hot laps, as it looks like Kazizel has gone off the circuit as well, and he is now retired from the session. The checkered flag is out. Then Gabri was unable to improve. He stays in 13th place. What's it going to be for Lars in the Mercedes? It is going to be a pretty big spin and accident across the line.
Well, I don't think he really thought he was going to set a new personal best, but he's in 3rd place, so that's a really good starting position. But interestingly, he is the first person across the line, and well, you know, he screwed up the lap, but 3rd place is still a very good position for the Mercedes. But I mean, for Ginger, this is really crucial right now as he goes through sector 3. There's a Ferrari go wild wide off. That would be either Super Mario or Zach. I'm assuming that was Super Mario since he's left, but not left, but retired. But Ginger right now is probably the man to watch. But we do see Kausper come across the line, or he's come across the line already. That's Fabry who came across the line. He's finished 9th.
Cherry Two Pies had a spin as well out of the final corner. He's out of the final hairpin, sorry. He's broken his front wing, so he won't be improving his time at all. Calzo comes around the final corner. He does improve to get into a 128.868. Quickly beaten, though, by Ginger. Great lap from him, 128.716. And I think that's pretty much everyone now. Zach's coming across the line. He, I think, improved himself into the top 10. Great qualifying there by Ginger to take pole position. Then he's clearly going for this victory. What will Kausper be able to do from a long way down on the grid? It's rare that I've had to scroll down onto the second page. 16th for Kausper, but he will have free choice of tyres, of course.
Well, yeah, I want to mention Ginger's got the fastest lap, excluding F1, I think. He set a 28.7. F2's pole was a 28.8, so we now know that Ginger is very quick around this track, and look how much clear he is of Calzo in 2nd place. So a very, very good lap from the Alfa Romeo driver, and that's what he needed. For Kausper, like you said, he does have the free choice of tyre, and so does Boss Spotters, Vanderberg, Super Mario, Pitmat, etc. All of them have free choice of tyres. Whether they'll start on the mediums or the hard, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure those two are more favoured over the softs anyway around this track. For Kausper, though, being down at 16th, although he could do that strategy, I don't think really that's what he wants. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him who could choose to do the same thing as him, and like I said as well, there is a slight chance that obviously being behind this traffic when you know you're potentially quicker, you can really get wing damage, and you've got that risk of also a safety car as well.
Yeah, it's always possible when you're sort of in that midfield. The concertina effect could really cause issues indeed, so we'll have to wait and see. Looking overcast again at the start of qualifying, and we did see that at the start of the race, we did see that at the start of qualifying, so who knows whether that will have an effect. And as the drivers are just getting ready with their strategies, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our partners here at PSGL, Brutal Democracy, who are rewarding the winners of the top 3 tiers, as well as 2nd and 3rd in F1 with Kausper. He's currently in prime position to earn himself a nice £20. He might not be in as good of a position by the end of turn 1, starting such a long way down the grid at the moment. There are the predicted strategies: soft, hard, soft, medium, medium. I'll be surprised if we see anyone go for the soft, hard strategy, not one that is favoured whatsoever. Outside the top 10, as we expected, no one starting on the softs. Boss wanted Super Mario simply, Young Power on the mediums. Everyone else, including our championship leader, on the hard tyres.
Well, I'm not surprised about that. That also gives us the indication that we're looking in for a dry race for the majority of it as well. The guys on the medium tyres, a little bit surprising for me, because I already know the alternate strategy is that hard medium, because those mediums are rapid at the end. So I wonder if we have got that slight aspect of rain coming in the midway through this race, but I think it's an interesting one because it's very split, and I do know that those hards are way more favourable than those mediums to those outside the top 10, but it seems like it's a bit of a half and half decision. So I think we may have some rain, but it's a little bit indecisive whether it'll be towards the end or through the middle of this, but the top 10 all obviously had to go for the soft tyres, and well, they've all gone that, and I mean, they'll be praying if there is rain coming, they'll be praying it comes pretty early.
Yeah, definitely. This could be interesting indeed. There isn't really too much difference in tyre life between the mediums and the hards. You usually do, if you're starting on the hards, you usually do 14 or 15 laps on those hard tyres before changing to the medium. So I'll have to wait and see how it goes for a few of these guys. We may well get some rain. The clouds don't look too threatening at the moment, and I think we were going to get any rain in the early stages. We'd have seen a lot more drivers outside the top 10 go for the soft tyres. So, Sam, Ginger on pole position. Man ahead of him in the championship down in 16th place. This could well be a fantastic opportunity for the Alfa Romeo driver to close that gap up a bit more and give us a proper championship battle.
Well, I think if we do have rain, I'm going to keep bringing up this factor. If we do have rain and everything, this could be a bit of a make or break moment, really, for Ginger. If there is rain, he'll need to push. He would need to push so much to make sure that he gets out ahead of Kasper. But I think this is interesting because the unpredictability. We haven't really seen Kasper in all this traffic, and at a track where it can sometimes be manic in the first couple of corners, we could seriously see a spin, and it could be a serious contender, well, for the title anyway, like Kasper. So for Ginger, that would be almost the most perfect scenario ever.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough. All the cars are lined up on the grid, and the start lights are coming on. Once they go out, round 10 of PSGL will be underway. And we're racing here at China. It's a decent start from Ginger. Calzo's going to try and get that overlap to get alongside him into turn 1. And in the end, he's having to watch out from Lars going all the way around the outside of the racing point. Through turn 1 and 2, is Lars going to be able to get the overlap to have that inside line for turn 3? Indeed he does, but still Calzo's trying to hang it on. In the end, he has to give up. So great start from Ginger. Lars moving up a position as well. Kazizel just holding off at the moment. Black Phoenix, who's going to try and go all the way around the outside. Oh, and nearly Kazizel ends up going into the back of Calzo. We have a yellow flag, and that is Super Mario, who is off the circuit in the Ferrari in these early stages. Don't think we've seen any damage done to anyone else. Kasper's had a great start, moving up 4 places, as has Young Power, who's currently battling with Gabri. So Ginger with a perfect start in the end. Lars managing to get ahead of Calzo. Kazizel holding off Black Phoenix, and Cohen dropping down a couple of places as we see a Haas in the background. I believe that was Gabri running a long way off of the circuit. Ideal start for Ginger though, because of course Lars battling with Calzo put him under a bit of pressure, and Kasper here, he's being forced a long way round by Svanderbroek, who got his first finish in 5 races last time out. And will Kasper just about stay ahead for now? Yes, Vanderbroek is going to have to wait. Will he think about going for a move down into the hairpin? Kasper definitely went defensive ever so slightly, and has actually gone a bit deep on the brakes there. Gabri still all over the back of Young Power. At the front of the race though, Ginger 3/4 of a second in the lead as we end lap 1.
Well, yeah, and we've got that glitch there, but obviously we still see Ginger in the lead. And, well, he's had a perfect start, hasn't he? Got well away from Lars, but Lars has had a good start as well. And, I believe Calzo's in 3rd, but the graphic was a bit confusing there for a moment. But Lars got a really good start as well. Slingshotted to the outside, I think, of Calzo. And, well, Calzo just got exposed, and we saw Lars, he's got passed around the outside, and Ginger's just got the perfect start he needed. I tell you who's also got a really good start, and that is the other championship rival of Kasper. What a start from him on the hard tyres, moving up to 12th. He's dropping back a little bit, but he's doing really good on those hard tyres, and he made a lot of ground, and, well, he looks really quick on those hard tyres, I must say, but the gap is so important, because those soft tyres, the pit window is around lap 5, lap 6 or something, so interestingly for Ginger, he needs to get away now, because Kasper is going to be in this traffic, but also Kasper is looking very racy right now.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have to wait and see how this goes here. Lars closing up ever so slightly to Ginger, and you did see Ginger moving across just to try and break that toe. In the background though, forever, he's not bothered about waiting for the DRS. He's got his way past Cohen, just runs a bit wide though, coming out of turn 14 at the hairpin, but gets the position done. That is another place lost for Cohen. One Mercedes has had an absolutely fantastic start to the race, setting the fastest lap, has Lars. Cohen just seems to have struggled ever so slightly more as DRS, there you can see, is enabled. First time they will be able to use it is on the long back straight, so expect to see plenty of slipstreaming. Expect to see Ginger having to defend a lot more from Lars this time around. And as you were saying, Kalsper's in a great situation because he's the lead car on those hard tyres. If he can just stay in touch with those ahead, you'd expect him to be able to stay in touch with Boss Wanted, Fabry and Zach, whose tyres are going to start wearing out very quickly, especially Zach and Fabry. This could be a fantastic position for Kalsper.
Yeah, but obviously, like I said, with those softs dying out, he must obviously be aware of that, and obviously he's got to be careful not to get damaged. He's a smart driver, Kalsper. He's made smart moves in this race already, moving up to 12th place, so I think he knows what he's doing. I think Boss Wanted knows what he's doing as well. Everyone's just sitting behind, waiting for these softs to die out, and soon they will have their moment in the sunshine at the front. For those hard tyres, it's more interested about keeping the longevity in those tyres, making sure they don't wear out as much, because they want to be pitting around lap 16, lap 17 for those medium tyres and get the most out of them. The medium tyres, though, are much bit quicker than the hards. Since obviously when you're on the softs, you pit on around lap 5, lap 6. Those hards start to really die out around lap 21, while those mediums will definitely get to the end at around the same sort of time. So for those on the softs, they're very compromised on that hard run, and they've really got to keep moving away from these drivers outside the top 10.
Yeah, most definitely. Fabry just stuck a nose in there ever so slightly on Zach. Could have easily ended in a spin, but Fabry on his debut race as a reserve for Toxic, who's practicing for his exams, so good luck to him. Fabry deciding to just back out at the right time there, and the front two are getting very close to breaking that DRS window here on Calzo. I noticed the lap before it was pretty much bang on a second at the detection point. That would be good news for these two if they could sort of break that gap, because then obviously it's going to be harder for everyone from Black Phoenix to get ahead. Calzo would be in trouble because Kazizel would work his way up, but maybe being able to drop these guys wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Could be interesting to see how Boss Wanted deals with this race as well. He's currently in 11th place. He could afford a tiny bit of patience, but needs to be careful that he gets those mediums in that sweet spot where they're the best tyre, which is probably round about now, because in another 5 or 6 laps, the hards are going to have the advantage.
I think what's really stressful and annoying right now for the likes of Boss Wanted, etc., is that we're in one of those phases where you can't really overtake at all. You've got obviously DRS trades. We all know what they are. We've all been in them. Maybe I could be wrong. Could he have a look at Fabry? Fabry positioned his car quite well, and I don't think we're going to see a move just here. But yeah, for Boss Wanted, he'll be very annoyed about this because he's got to stick behind, because everyone ahead of him is getting that DRS, and it's helping him so much. Zach into the pits.
Zach, the first driver then to blink. Is he going to get it slowed down in time? Just about. So Zach is into the pits. This is very early. Will it be a set of the hard tyres or the mediums? It's the hards on the Ferrari, so looks like he's going to try and stretch this possibly to a one-stop strategy, in which case that is a very early pit stop on the soft tyres. When you consider the hard runners will only be doing 14, 15 laps, he's going to have to do 24 laps on those hards. So not sure this is the best strategy for Zach. We'll have to wait and see how it goes for him. So he comes out in last place. That promotes Boss Wanted into the points, but they're still in this DRS train. Everyone from Lars down to Kalsper is getting the DRS. So that basically means everyone from Calzo to Kalsper has got to think of a really imaginative overtaking manoeuvre. Maybe, as we mentioned in qualifying, turn 6, where Ricciardo managed to work his way past Bottas, because the DRS range, they're pretty much out of use at the moment.
Well, yeah, and Black Phoenix was outside a second a minute ago. He's now back in it, and well, like you said, it's pretty useless. It's pretty difficult to overtake. Boss Wanted looking very strong though off the exit here. He didn't really get the throttle down fully, but he is closing to Fabry a little bit now. He's got the momentum. Is he going to look to the outside? Yes, he does, and I think that is the move done. Not entirely yet, but I think it's almost but certain now he's getting the move done, and yes, there we go. Out in front, though, look at Cohen and Cherry Tupai going close. A little bit of wheel banging there. Cohen to the inside. I think they both wanted to go into the pits here. This is quite astonishing then. So who's going to make it first? We've seen Sebastian Vettel do this, but Cohen into the pits, and so does Cherry Tupai. That was a rather interesting one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was very interesting indeed. I think it's just maybe important to say, I think the reason why that was so easy for Boss Wanted is he had the extra grip, but Fabry had completely run out of ERS, sorry, and someone is going for something different now. Ferreira on those medium tyres. This could work out very interestingly indeed, as the two Alpha Tauris are going side by side here. Who's going to get ahead? Simply on the mediums, Vanderburg still on the hard tyres, still looking for his first point of the season, and I think Simply is just going to have enough grip to try and hold on here. Although fair play to Vanderburg, he's fighting. This could well slow the pair of them up or end in an incident. And there we go, Vanderburg taps the barrier. It was impressive driving to go side by side, and he's left the session. Fantastic. Impressive to go side by side. Turns 7 and 8 really aren't corners where you want to be doing that.
Yeah, it was very, very impressive. I really enjoyed that until obviously what happened next. But I think Vanderburg, he turned in. He tried to get the pace on very quickly, and I think that was really a position where Simply couldn't really do anything. There seemed to be some sort of teammate sort of love there, which was nice to see, but it obviously didn't turn out that way in the end. But poor Vanderburg, he's still on looking for points, I believe, and Simply's going well thrown into the corner there. I think that may be just down to Pitmat defending from Super Mario, and Super Mario's just got by him, so really not what Pitmat would have wanted, and he's down another position.
Yeah, he is. All the rest of the soft runners, though, have come into the pitch. Ginger from the lead of this race. Pitmat now battling with Young Power for what is now a 6th position. Young Power trying to use those medium tyres while they're in good position, and the Williams gets him out up into 6th position. Everyone who's come in then on that lap has gone for the hard tyres. So I was expecting maybe a couple more to go for the 2-stop strategy just to try something different, because Ferreira on those mediums has really caught up to the back of Cazizol. If he gets this move done quickly, he's got 10 seconds of free air to get up to the back of Pitmat, who will probably be a sitting duck by the time he gets there because his hards will be getting a bit warm. This could work out. This could be very interesting indeed for Ferreira. The lead of the race now, though, is Boss Wanted, 0.7 seconds ahead of Kalsper. And then they've got a big gap back to Gabri, Simply, Super Mario, Young Power, and Pitmat, who are the only 7 drivers yet to pit.
Yeah, and Ferreira looking very feisty on those medium tyres. There's obviously a big gap between Cazizol and Pitmat, but obviously that's because those who have pitted and those who haven't pitted. Kalsper's closing in on Boss Wanted. I think this is now a real crucial point for Kalsper, is sticking in that DRS from Boss Wanted. If he wants to win this race, he needs to stick there. Boss Wanted needs to get out if he wants to win this race, but like I said, the medium tyres I think were an interesting one to start on to choose with, in my opinion, and does hint that perhaps we are looking for rain in this session, and I think Ferreira backs it up as well. He said about the hard tyres and everything. Although, yes, you're right, they possibly may not make it to the end in some instances, but maybe they can make it enough, obviously, to get that get them going till the intermediate phase. Honestly, we don't know if there is rain or not, unfortunately, but I'm predicting we are going to have rain here, because I was just generally surprised. I wasn't expecting that many people on those medium tyres.
I'd agree with you, but then surely everyone who's come onto the softs would then go onto the mediums if it's going to rain at some point. I don't get why you'd go onto the hards if you're knowing that in, let's say, another, 10 laps time probably, or maybe even a bit less, we're going to get some rain. Who knows? We saw Fabry and Cherry Tupai getting very close together there. Bit of hand-waving from the respective cockpits, but Fabry did manage to stay ahead. He is in 16th. Cherry Tupai in 17th position. They're the last runners who are still in the session, as Zvanderburg has disconnected, so he won't be scoring any points this time around. Boss Wanted still doing a decent job of keeping Kalsper at bay. You'd expect the tyres to be pretty even pace-wise at this moment in time. 0.6 seconds between them. They are building their gap, though, over Gabri, Simply, Super Mario, Young Power, and Pitmat, and Ferreira already nearly a second ahead of Cazizol at the moment, and it won't be too long before Ginger's trying to get ahead of his teammate. That undercut worked absolutely brilliantly for the lead Alfa Romeo at the moment.
Yeah, and you just talked about the tyres there for a minute, and you know, Ferreira's on the mediums and he'll be looking probably for a 2-stop. But the hards, they can make it to the end, I reckon. I was able to get them to the end, but obviously there's a risk. But I mean, why would Ferreira try and do the 2-stop when the 2-stop, well, for me yesterday it was much different? we also saw an FP on Tuesday last week at this track. It started raining around lap 21 time, I think it was, and those on the hards benefited so well compared to the mediums, because the mediums were dead, the mediums were done, so the mediums were just far slower and they could not get past the hard drivers, and those who started on the hards, they ended up finishing in very high positions and did very well. But it's an interesting one. Again, I believe that the ones who started on the mediums are hopeful for some rain if we're going to get some rain, but usually when you see the rain coming in the plus 45 minutes, that could come 21 minutes into the race, that could come at literally the end of the race. It can come before it can come after it even finishes pretty much, so rain is possible. It's an interesting one because I'm a little bit confused why so many would start on the mediums to go on the hards at the end, because those on the mediums at the end will by far have more pace. Speaking of battle between medium and hards really and decision making, look at this then, Casper closing in on Boss Wanted. He's now within a 10th. I wonder if he's now going to make an overtaking move. Boss Wanted tried to say no by trying to defend to the outside. It don't work out, and Casper's into the lead of this race.
So Casper, the championship leader, takes the lead at the start of lap 10. These two are still pulling away from the rest of the field, so I don't think Boss Wanted is looking too bad at the moment. Might be the next couple of laps though when we see the Haas driver come into the pits. Further back, Ferreira still pulling away from Kazizel. Ginger not able to get ahead of his teammate at the moment. This could really start holding him up soon. I wonder if there will be any team orders between these guys to try and get Ginger ahead, not just for a possible championship win, which does look more and more unlikely, but just to secure second place, because he's got Lars, Calzo, Zach, who was the first one to pit. He managed to gain a few places. He could really be one of the ones who, if we do see the drivers starting to struggle with tyres at the end of the race, you'd expect Zach to be the first one who is in a bit of trouble as he gets a bit of oversteer there coming out of turn 6. He's got Cohen and Black Phoenix behind him. Then it is Cherry, Tupai and Fabry, the remaining 17 runners after Svanderburg left the session. Boss Wanted is now starting to lose a bit of pace. I wonder if either this lap or next lap he'll come into the pits and put a set of the hard tyres on. Would currently put him down round about where Cohen and Black Phoenix are, I believe. Maybe a bit further down, but obviously he'd have slightly fresher tyres than those guys.
Yeah, but Boss Wanted had a little bit of a tank slapper though through Sector 2. The final corner going into towards straight for the Sector 2, Sector 3 split. He had a little bit of tank slapper and I thought he lost the car. He saved it quite brilliantly and he's not exactly losing time, but he's definitely not gaining right now. I mean, interestingly, the medium tyre drivers are now coming into the pit, so we are looking at that window that they are going to pit onto the hards. And, well, in my opinion, this is going to be a really interesting one because the hards, they do last a very, very long time. But for Boss Wanted right now, he would be enjoying where he's at right now. If you just stick in that DRS of Calsper, he should be fine. And on those fresh hard tyres as well, once he can get them up to the temperature, he may just have enough just to pull it off and beat Calsper here tonight. But it seems quite unlikely because I do know how good those medium tyres tend to be.
Yeah, I think in F11 I was the only person to go for the hard medium strategy, and unfortunately for me my connection decided to play up before I had a chance to pull it off. Someone who has managed to pull a move off though, Black Phoenix, up into 12th ahead of Zach, who has just seemed to struggle a bit more already. I wonder if he's got a tiny bit of damage because we've seen Cohen and now Black Phoenix really get past him without the Ferrari being able to put too much of a fight up, and these guys have dropped 3 seconds behind Ginger, Kazizel, Lars and Calzo. Ginger now leading those guys after getting ahead of his teammate last time around. Kazizel might be safe though from Lars just because he will get the DRS, of course, of the other Alfa Romeo. We'll see if Kazizel feels the need to go defensive. Lars isn't exactly full of electrical energy at the moment, and as soon as he starts clipping, I think his chances of getting ahead of Kazizel might get slim. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside here. This would be a brilliant move if he can pull it off. No, just a bit too late on the brakes, and Lars unable to do so. Young Power then into the pit. So now Boss Wanted, he's gone longer than anyone else on the medium tyres, and like you said, because he is in the DRS range of Calsper, this is really helping him at the moment. And obviously later on in the race he'll reap the rewards of this, having fresher hard tyres than everyone else.
Yeah, I wonder if this is just a plan for him really. Just stick in the DRS. Once you're out of the DRS, that's when you pit, and I think we'll be probably looking at a pit stop this lap, I reckon, for Boss Wanted, because Kalsper is slowly getting away now, and you're seeing him starting to lift through that first S section, which isn't exactly the best time to lift, which does show that your tyres are starting to go a little bit, and you're starting to oversteer and understeer and feel a little bit more uncomfortable, but he's sticking with Kalsper. However, he has dropped out of the second gap. Has he been able to close in? No, he hasn't, so we shouldn't see DRS for Boss Wanted. And if I'm honest, I reckon that he will pick this lap.
Yeah, I think now that he has dropped outside of that DRS range, it will probably be this lap that Boss Wanted comes into the pits. We'll see where he comes out. He'll be hoping ahead of Cherry Tupai and Fabry, and just behind the battle that we're seeing on screen at the moment for what is currently the final points position. Cohen, Black Phoenix and Zach. Black Phoenix is using all his ERS out of turn 13 to try and get a fantastic run on the back of the Mercedes, who isn't really fighting it too hard at the moment, and I think this is going to be a very straightforward DRS pass for the Williams down the inside. Pretty much takes the racing line into the corner. Black Phoenix up into 10th. Cohen's trying to hold it off around the outside, but he's unable to. Boss Wanted has come into the pits then. That promotes Gabri up into second, Pit Matt up into third behind Kalsper, the only drivers to have not pitted in this race. And I think in the next 2 to 3 laps we might see some of those drivers come in. And Boss Wanted has come out, well, not just a bit behind this battle, he's right in the middle of it, getting himself ahead of Zach. Boss Wanted in 11th. He needs to try and find a way past Cohen and Black Phoenix extremely quickly, then get back onto the back of Ginger, Kazizel, Lars and Calzo. Might see a podium for the Haas here.
Yeah, and he's come out well ahead of the others who pitted around this time. We're looking at Simply, Super Mario, Young Power, etc. Look how far clear he was of them beforehand, and he's still very much clear of them this time out, but he's sitting here in 11th, and like you said, he needs to get past Cohen and Black Phoenix and all if he wants to look at a podium. But Boss Wanted here, I think he'll be pretty happy where he is right now, and I'm pretty sure that he'll be looking just to get past Cohen on this straight. Interestingly, Cohen, though, has DRS as well. He doesn't have much ERS, however, he should have enough definitely to aid him on the straight if he necessarily needs.
Yeah, we'll have to see here, and I wonder when Kalsper is going to come into the pits. I think if it's next time around, he might just come out ahead of these guys. Cohen is trying to go defensive here, then down the straight. Up ahead, you just saw Lars and Calzo swap position briefly. In the end, Calzo drops back, and Cohen able to hold that position. So great defensive driving from the two Mercedes drivers, Lars and Cohen, respectively. Lap 14 of this race then, as further back, Simply and Fabry have come together. And Simply facing the wrong way. Second time this race he's been involved in contact. We sort of caught that mid incident between him and Fabry, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Simply has dropped down to last place, luckily for him, carrying all the bits of his front wing, so he won't have to do a caveat from yesterday and do an entire lap with a broken front wing. Super Mario and Young Power now, though, catching up to the back of Cherry 2 Pie. And likewise, they'll be hoping to get ahead of these guys quickly, because they might still sniff a chance of just picking up some of the lower points positions.
Yeah, and they would be looking to catch up. They're quite far behind, though, at the moment, these guys. 3.9 seconds, obviously, Cherry 2 Pie to the gap in front. Boss Wanted, though, obviously on fresh hards, should be looking to pass these guys. These guys are on fresher hards as well, to those like Zach and Cherry 2 Pie. And it's just an interesting one at the moment, in my opinion, because those hards will die for those such as Cherry 2 Pie, for example. However, Boss Wanted should be much better. And look, here we go. Boss Wanted looking for a move on Cohen. Is he going to go to the inside? Cohen defends him off. Cohen. Calm down. You don't want to knock him off the track completely there. Not a terrible thing from Cohen there, but maybe just a bit of a late reaction. And it's not the first time we've seen that from the Mercedes, but Boss Wanted would be pretty unhappy with that, because that looked like a certain move that was waiting to happen, and Cohen just kind of put him off a little bit. He will go again, Boss Wanted, to the inside then, and he's just going to have to back out and a little bit of oversteer there. And, well, I think that'll be an interesting one to look at, but I think Cohen just hit him a little bit too aggressively, but luckily that didn't completely ruin Boss Wanted's race, and here he goes again then. He used overtake a little bit to try and go this. Is he going to try and switch to the inside? He's just going to sit back, relax, and go again. Maybe a switchback, and oh my word, Cohen almost losing the car and taking Boss Wanted with him. Good reactions from both of them, but that's lost Boss Wanted out again.
In a way, that might not be the worst thing, though, for Boss Wanted, because now Cohen isn't going to have DRS off the back of Black Phoenix. So if Boss Wanted, he is low on ERS, so maybe Zach might even think about having a go at these guys as Boss Wanted just tries to clean his tyres up. I think the first one, we might even see Boss Wanted just take that to the stewards unless he gets an apology from Cohen, because I can't imagine he's too happy about that. You can see how much that Mercedes is struggling on traction at this moment in time. He is surely going to have to go defensive or just let this move happen from Boss Wanted, and in the end he decides, you know what, I've tried fighting this move, it hasn't gone well, and there's a bit more contact between the two of them there. This is getting very risky between the two of them. Boss Wanted off the circuit, Gabri and Pitmat coming into the pits, and I think Cohen in the end is just deciding to fight this battle another day and let Boss Wanted get on with it. He's up to 10th position, and you can see though Black Phoenix has gained quite a lot of time now on those guys. He was just ahead of them at the start of that lap, 2.7 seconds. They now get back to the Haas driver.
I'm not entirely sure about that one. That was naughty from Boss Wanted there. We know what Cohen did on the last lap. That wasn't exactly great. But, well, Boss Wanted basically did the same thing. And, well, that one looked a little bit more worse and direct. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that was fully forced from the Haas driver. But it just looked like he turned slightly into Cohen, just like Cohen did the previous lap. But yeah, that was not really that good from Boss Wanted. He got the position done, and he should have just moved on from it. And, well, if he has done that to Cohen, I wouldn't be surprised if he will be in the stewards for that. And, well, that could cost him quite dearly if it does turn out to be quite an aggressive or quite, well, not really necessary action. So, for Boss Wanted, maybe he needs to calm down a little bit and just realise, yes, this has happened, but retaliation definitely doesn't make me a better person.
No, it definitely does not. We've got all sorts of battling going on for 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th as Cherry Tupai seems to be struggling at the moment. Young Power manages to make his way ahead, and Pam Gabri, he's going to give it a go now on those medium tyres. Pitmat not too far behind either. So this is the chance to really see, well, this is our first chance to see how good those medium tyres are, as Young Power's having to go defensive here on Gabri at this moment in time, who's tried to go all the way around the outside, not able to do so, and Cherry Tupai fancies a go at fighting back, but he ends up having to stay in position. Kalsper still leading this race, going quite a bit further than I expected. I think lap 17 will be the lap we do see him come into the pits, the only driver yet to pit, and at the moment you'd imagine he's going to come out roughly where Black Phoenix is, so a lot of this race could depend on whether he comes out ahead of Black Phoenix or behind him, and how quickly he can get past the Williams if he does come out behind him. He's doing a great job at the moment. Ferreira starting to see why others didn't go for this two-stop strategy now. He's only 2.5 seconds ahead as Young Power and Cherry Tupai are getting very close together again, and now Pitmat has caught up to these. They're not fighting for points at the moment, but they're definitely having an entertaining race as Young Power throws one down the inside. I don't think Cherry Tupai was expecting that whatsoever. He now drops into 16th, and you can see the Renault actually has a broken front wing, so that's probably why he was struggling so much through that high-speed section.
Yeah, definitely, and I think I think Cherry Tupai was a little bit aggressive into that hairpin there. Completely sent Young Power and almost went straight into the Haas of Gabri as well, and well, that's why I was like, oh, no. Kalsper's into the pits, interestingly. So he's the final one to the pits. Lars almost losing the car, though. Furthermore, he got very close to Calzo. Interestingly, Ferreira comes into the pits as well. We would expect that, and he will go on to another set of mediums. Kalsper onto the medium. Where is he going to come out? Interestingly, that is behind Lars. Is it behind Black Phoenix? All this is very close, and he's got to navigate this corner in much tighter way, but he's definitely got ahead of Black Phoenix, but definitely a really good position for Black Phoenix, because he will have the DRS and Kalsper will not.
Well, you say Kalsper won't have DRS. It wouldn't surprise me if he's actually got within a second of Lars by the end, by the time we get around to the exit of turn 10, because he'll be absolutely flying, and already Black Phoenix has dropped about a second behind. This is going to be a tough job, I think, for anyone to top Kalsper in this race. This alternate strategy seems to have worked out absolutely beautifully for him. At the moment, he's in 5th place, not too far behind Lars, but we know the Mercedes driver will fight for his life. He just seems to be struggling a bit at the moment, and I'm not sure how much of a fight he'll be able to put up. You can already see here, Lars. Ooh, that is sneaky trying to get the DRS, and I'm not sure that's going to work out as well as he would have expected, because now he's just going to be in dirty air on the older tyres, and you can just see how much... Oh, Kalsbert nearly losing it there, taking a tight line. That could have made things very interesting indeed here, but Kalsbert up into 4th place. As you can see, Lars, it was worth a shot, didn't work out in the end. He is down into 5th place. What that means is, with 10 laps to go then, it is an Alfa Romeo 1-2. Ginger ahead of Kazizel. Calzo currently in the spot to get his first podium of the season. I think Kalsbert might just take that away from him, though. Further back down the field, Ferreira has got himself up into 14th ahead of Young Power. He's going to be in a decent position to fight his way up the order as well. Gabri getting ahead of Super Mario for 11th.
Yeah, and Kalsbert looking very quick on those mediums, and I think almost he was too quick, too confident through that spiral section onto the long straight. He almost lost the car completely, and, well, Lars... Yeah, you can argue it was a smart decision, but it's kind of been the whole story of his season, really, hasn't it? He's gone and tried to make a smart move on strategy or a smart call, and it's just not worked out for him. And well, now he's just lost loads of more time, and kind of cost Kalsbert a little bit. But I don't think Kalsbert will worry really, because once he's in the DRS of these guys ahead, he is in a bit of a train at the moment. However, if he does, he's definitely got the grip in the corners, and Sector 2 is going to be a nightmare for Calzo, Kazizel and Ginger to defend. But I tell you something now, Ginger will definitely not be looking to give that position up, especially when he knows this could be life or death if he ever wants to have a look at trying to win this championship.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it's in a okay situation for Ginger. There's about half a second to 3/4 of a second between himself and Kazizel, and between himself and Calzo, so that might make it a bit tougher for Kalsbert to get ahead. Zach now works his way past Cohen, as further back we're nearly 3 wide into the hairpin there. Pitmat slinging one into, we're nearly 4 wide coming out of it. Super Mario in 11th for now, just ahead of Pitmat. Ferreira trying to work his way up on fresh medium tyres as well, and you've got Fabry in the back of that, so now Ferreira's got a good exit out of that corner. Can he go to the outside? Pitmat's going to go to the inside of Super Mario, who's going to find himself getting swamped into turn 1, and Ferreira all the way around the outside of the pair of them. Absolutely fantastic move, as we've now got Lars has had a spin in the Mercedes, and he's broken his front wing. He's going to get absolutely no points from this race now. Lars down into 9th position. He tried something a bit different to get DRS off of Kalsbert. It failed, and he has, to be fair, been struggling for the last few laps with tyre grip by the looks of things. So Lars, no points for him out of this race. Cherry Tupai is coming to the pits and put the medium tyres on. Whether he's just trying to get a fastest lap or a bit of pride, I don't know.
Oh, he shouldn't do that. Lars is trying to attack Gabri. Why are you doing this, Lars? We've seen you in previous races in Vietnam. You have damage and everything. You cannot keep doing this. You can't keep blocking and defending drivers. It just gets you in more trouble, and it's not helpful at all. Lars has just lost himself 4 positions because he's tried going down the inside at a corner where you cannot overtake, and almost cost Gabri the race as well by almost making him spin. So really, Lars has to be careful, and I know it's really frustrating when you have damage, but you cannot do something like that. You just have to calm down. And oh wow, Fabry, where does he come from? To the outside there, locking up completely in a really good battle with Young Power, but Lars will come into the pits, and well, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up retiring. Yeah,
we might see him retire out. To the lead of this race, so now Calzo under big pressure from Kalsbert, who's going to try and go all the way around the outside here into the hairpin. Is he going to be able to pull it off? Has Calzo just about got enough of an overlap to stay ahead? Yes, he has, but on traction, the McLaren's going to have the advantage, and he has got the move done. That's what I mentioned earlier. He's going to find it a bit difficult at the DRS zones, but now he's just got that extra grip to get ahead at that point. It wouldn't surprise me if he tries something similar on Kazizel next time around, and then obviously he'll be out of the DRS train because Ginger hasn't got anyone in front of him to boost himself along. Cohen managed to work his way back past Zach, so that is one of the Mercedes, working his way back up into 7th place after good qualifying, 3rd and 4th. I think they'd have been hoping better for Cohen in 7th and Lars out of this race.
Yeah, and Kalsper will be coming now because it's a bit lucky he's got the DRS. This will be a little bit more difficult for Kalsper. He's got not one Alfa Romeo but 2, and if these two do play the teammate game, this could be difficult for Kalsper. However, because although he needs to respect that these tyres are by far better, look at the exit that Kalsper's getting. He's so much quicker, got so much more grip out the exits, and well, in my opinion, if Kalsper doesn't win this race, I will be very surprised because these medium tyres, they're going to be on a similar to what the same pace they started on towards the end of the race. And look at how close Kalsper is now to the back of Zizzle. It's so close, it's so difficult. There's incidents going on, pit mat's off, he's been hit by, I think, Super Mario there. So both the Renaults having a really, really disappointing race. And well, enough said about Vandenberg and the Alfa Romeos. Look who's going side by side though, because Zizzle to the outside again. Kalsper almost doing the same thing as last time, and he took him around the outside, and Kalsper into 2nd place. And I tell you what, if Ginger fights this off and somehow Ginger wins this race, I will be very, very surprised.
I'll be very, very surprised if Ginger's in the lead of this race by the time we get to lap 23, because Kalsper's going to have DRS. He's going to have so much more traction coming out of turn 12 and 13, as simply he's now off the circuit, coming out of the hairpin at turn 6, that is, and I can't see it. It does look like he has actually got quite a lot of front wing damage as well. Ginger's doing pretty well though. He got a decent exit there, it must be said, and he's not even feeling the need to use his overtake at the moment. It might be worth him just blasting all this overtake coming out of turn 3 and 4 here, just to try and stop that move into the hairpin that we have seen Kalsper do early on. Looks like Cherry Tupai has been facing the wrong way once again, and Zach and Cohen still battling over 7th and 8th place, and these two fighting is going to give Ferreira and possibly a Gabri chance to fight back later on. Here comes Kalsper though, just getting ready to set it up in the same way as he has done on the last couple of laps. Has Ginger been watching? Does he know maybe where to just slow the car down? And that'd have been a bit cheeky there, although Kalsper's not had a good exit. He just clipped the curve coming out of turn 3 and 4. Probably going to have to stay behind until the DRS zone again.
Yeah, and he will, and we'll see through here. Look how much grip Kalsper will have through this section of dirty air, and maybe not giving us a good representation of it. Cherry 2 retires from the session, and we have a safety car. Now we have a bit of a split decision here, because Ginger now could potentially go onto the softs, but he will need to rely on everyone else, obviously, but Kalsper to do so if he wants to win this race. Now, this is going to be very, very split decision from all these drivers, because no one's particularly so far back. If Ginger pits now, he will lose a lot of time and lose a lot of places, moving down to 8th or even 9th place there. So really, this is going to be a difficult decision, but Ginger, in my opinion, he won't win this race on this hard, but if he goes onto the softs, he could have a chance, but that honestly really depends on everyone else. So Ginger needs to, well, he needs to really hope that everyone else does the same, but, well, this is going to be split decision, and now we'll just find out what he's going to do. He's slowing down quite a lot, and he's chosen to pit, and so has Kalsper, and I think Zizzle has as well. Same with Calzo. What about Black Phoenix? Yes, he does. Boss Wanted pits. They are all pitting in this lap, so this is very interesting indeed. Will Ferreira do the same? No, he does not. Ferreira doesn't do the same, and I predicted that. Neither does Gabri. Where does Ferreira come out in all of this? He's going to lead, isn't he? Yes, he is. Ferreira's in the lead in this race. Now we really have a battle on, because those soft tyres, perhaps at the end, maybe a little bit half and half of the mediums.
Well, let's not forget, they're going to do at least, I'd say at least another lap or two under the safety car, so probably a 3-lap sprint here, only 1 lap, where they're going to have DRS at most. This is going to be very interesting indeed. I'm surprised Kalsper came into the pits. I'm not surprised Ginger did, but I did think there'd be a few more risking it. Fabry on the really old hard tyres, he's going to be an absolute sitting duck when the safety car comes in here. He's just going to be passed by every man and his dog around this circuit at the moment. But the race order on lap 24 is definitely not the one we expected, thanks to the safety car and Cherry Two Pie's retirement, which brought that out. Ferreira leading this race after that two-stop strategy. I wonder if he's thinking, oh, maybe I should have just carried on an extra lap and put the soft tyres on. I could have been in a fantastic position here. Gabri in second place, Ginger in third, Kalsper in fourth. We're going to see a straight fight between the top two in the championship in the final few stages. This is going to be brilliant indeed. Fabry out of position. He's going to drop like a stone. Calzo 6th, Black Phoenix 7th, Kazizel, the double stack really messing him over there. He's in 8th. Boss 1 to 9th. Zach in the final points position. This is going to be a fascinating final few laps.
Oh, I cannot wait. I don't even know when the safety car is going to come in. It could come in even at the end of this lap. Usually it does go 2 laps, so I'll be very surprised if that's the case. So I feel very bad for maybe Simply there, who was at the back of it, of course. But everyone's got on the softs except from the front two and Fabry. And interestingly, those mediums do not look worse for wear. If the soft tyres are not treated properly by the guys behind, they will not probably be as great as the medium tyres towards the end. Luckily, they do have low fuel left, so those soft tyres, we should be expecting to see almost optimum times of even the 1 minute 30s, 1 minute 29 perhaps we could be seeing towards the end of this race. That is doubtful, but we could be seeing that from a few. But for me, Ginger needs to really show now that he's got the pace and he needs to get past these two guys. Same with Kalsper, but come on, we do not really want that, let's be honest. We want Ginger to win this race. We want a championship battle. Let's get this underway again in a few minutes. But obviously Ferreira and Gabri as well. Interesting decision from them, but definitely one that I can definitely see one of them benefit from, and that is Ferreira, because we've got very few laps indeed, and we've got to sort this all out. And something's going on really strange at the back here. This is obviously some sort of glitch. Oh dear, it's happened again. And I think it's like all 4 of them have said something. Someone just sacrifice a penalty and let's just get going again. Let's just not fuss about it, honestly. Get the penalty removed when it's necessarily needed. Again, Cohen, just get the penalty removed. Don't worry about it.
Oh, now look what's happened.
Oh.
Well.
Oh.
I feel sorry for Young Power and Pitmat. One of them, either Zach or Cohen, should have thought, right, we've caused the glitch here. It's not ideal. Someone get a 5-second penalty. We'll get it removed by the stewards. Just take it, because now you've got all this sort of mess going on here. Zach has done now, ironically. They're all getting 5-second penalties. This is just ridiculous. Safety car lights are still on. Everyone but Vanderbrugge has caught up, and he's not in the session, of course. So hopefully the safety car will be coming in on this lap, and it is 3 laps of action now. Ferreira and Gabri's tyres are going to be a bit colder than everyone else's on the restart. When are they going to go for it? You can see how aggressively they are having to weave. Fuel saving concerns won't be a thing. The tyre concerns won't be a problem either. They will be really fresh. Who is going to take the victory in this race? We haven't seen Kalsper beaten in a straight fight all season. 8th in Spain, he had a few spins where he was involved in accidents with other divers. He messed up the strategy in Belgium, sticking on the slick tyres when it started to rain. He did not finish. He wasn't here last time in Japan. Every other race has seen Kalsper take the victory. Ferreira's leaving it pretty late here, but it seems to have worked absolutely fantastically for the Racing Point. We've got 3 laps of racing here. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. Who is going to take the victory then? Ginger's got a fantastic run here on Gabri already as Pitmat is into the pits. Ginger not able to get ahead of Gabri at the moment. He's pretty much pushing him around turns 1 and 2. Can he go all the way around the outside, or will the Haas be able to hold off? Good move by Ginger. A bit more of a touring car bump to pass there, but he gets the move done. Kazizel dropping a long way down the order. He's going to score no points whatsoever as Kalsper has managed to get past Gabri now. He's up into 3rd position. Perfect restart, though, from the Racing Point of Ferreira. He's just got to try and hold on now. At least, though, the others won't have DRS until the final lap.
Yeah, and Gabri almost turned into Kalsper at the exit of the corner, just didn't really get the traction down, and almost ended up spinning right into Kalsper there. Kalsper keeping the throttle on though, keeping confident, and he's now right on the back of Ginger here. When's he going to strike, and when will he make his move, if he can make the move? And I said about these medium tyres, if not exactly, Gabri's not exactly done the right job here. They needed to work as a team if they wanted to get the result, but obviously they're not teammates, so they're not going to work as a team. And just look how much quicker these soft tyres has ended up being. And perhaps I was a little wrong about them. And the soft tyres look almost unstoppable as Ginger sends it down the inside. This should be a nice and easy move. He's got it. Look at Kalsper. Kalsper is desperate to get that move done. And has he got it? He's got to look to the outside. He's got the line and he's got it. So we are going to see a straight fight between first and second in the championship. And look who's just got the fastest lap as well.
Kalsper, fastest lap then after the restart. He's in second place. Ginger is in first. And on the final lap, he will have DRS. Fabry is now down into 10th position. He's going to drop a long way down the order, of course, and nearly ends up losing the car completely there on his own. We saw all sorts of battles happening between now Gabri and Calzo trying to get ahead of the Haas. So Calzo might still sneak his way up into third position here. We haven't even checked the penalties. We'll wait and see what happens at the end of the race. We'll leave it as a bit of a surprise. Black Phoenix trying to get ahead of Gabri as well. Bosch wanted in just behind these guys. Let's not forget he was looking pretty good on the medium tyres early on and might still get a top 5, even top 4 finish out of this as he tries to send one down the inside of his teammate. Nearly ends up losing his front wing, and that's allowed Cohen to get right and behind. The Boss wants us around the Haas in the wall. Able to carry on, but I'm not sure he'll want to. It's going to be no points for him. Kazizel, another victim of a safety car incident just afterwards there, passes him. And all sorts of chaos happening there. Kalsper might get ahead of Ginger before we even get to the DRS zone here. Down the outside, he's going to have a go for the race lead. The two leaders in the championship battling each other at the moment. And Ginger just about managing to hold on to that position for now. 1 lap to go as they cross the finish line then. Who is going to take the victory here? Is it going to be 2 in a row for Ginger? Or is Kalsper going to take a absolutely huge step towards the championship? Ginger feeling the need to go defensive here into turn 1. That might give Kalsper a chance to just get his nose underneath through turn 2. Can he hold it on all the way around the outside at 3? Or is Ginger just about for now going to stay ahead? Kalsper's still got alongside, and we know he loves having a move at this hairpin.
Yeah, look at him, he's almost going for it around the outside. Is he going to move it here? There he goes, around the outside. Is he going to get the switchback, actually? Switchback is on, side by side through turn 7 and 8. Here we go through the S's. He's just going to back out of it for now. I don't think DRS was enabled, so Kalsper right now is going to be sticking behind, and this is just going to be a dogfight to the end, isn't it? We're going to see Kalsper get stuck behind here, but annoyingly, Dirty Air has caused him to fall back a little bit. Luckily though, both these guys have a lot of overtake to use. I think if I'm certain, Kalsper looks a lot stronger on the straights. A good exit out this corner could definitely put him in contention. This is the battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the top 2 going for the title this season. Ginger needs this win. Kalsper can get it. He's got the DRS as well. I didn't even realise we had DRS. Going defensive, Ginger to the inside, and to the outside goes Kalsper as well. Looking for a switchback again. I don't think he's going to get it. Ginger, I think, has gone and beaten Kalsper for the first time this season on a straight fight. But I tell you something now, Kalsper definitely was not the slower driver, and Ginger wins this race just about, but look how close that was.
Great job from Ginger to take his second victory in a row. Kalsper takes second. Ferreira stopping out worked for him. He takes third, just ahead of his teammate Calzo. Black Phoenix was 5th, Gabri 6th, Fabry ended up 7th. Super Mario and Zach are 8th and 9th. Simply gets the final point. Cohen, those 5-second penalties, I believe he did get one under the safety car in the end. So if he gets that removed, of course, he will jump up the order. He was 12th. Absolutely chaotic end to that race there, and somehow, despite Kalsper having DRS, Ginger was able to hold on and take the victory.
Very good defensive work from Ginger. There's no doubt about it. He just went to the inside, held that inside line. He knew what he was doing that whole lap, and fair play to Kalsper though. He was bloody quick on the softs in the final lap. Like, that was very, very close. But I tell you something now, it was well deserved from Ginger. He took pole position. He's took the race win here, and I mean, I know obviously Kausper 16th to second, that's brilliant, but Ginger well held off, and he's gone and won the race as well, second time in a row. I mean, it's pretty sad that obviously this wasn't a whole fight all season, but I reckon Ginger is very happy with that one, and hopefully, just maybe hopefully, there is a slight chance we could see this close up even further next week in Bahrain, but we'll just have to wait and see for that one.
Yeah, Kalsper's lead shrinking ever so slightly to 31 points after the victory for Ginger Ferreira. In his first race as a full-time driver, gets his first podium. Third place for the Racing Point Calzo. Still waiting for that though, his best result in a dry race so far this season. Good enough for 4th position. Black Phoenix in 5th, Gabri in 6th. Fabry, who also only did one stop, he ended up 7th. Super Mario and Zach are 8th and 9th. Simply in 10th, Kazizzle. So unlucky for him, a double stack and then an incident early on after the safety car came in. He could only finish in 11th. Cohen, likewise, dropping down in the end, a promising qualifying for both of the Mercedes cars, ending up with no points. Young Power was 13th. Vanderbrug left earlier on. We saw Boss Wanted retire after having a spin earlier. Pitmat, Cherry Tupai, both Reynolds failing to finish the race. And Lars, he had an accident earlier on, managed to carry on, but then retire in the pits. Absolutely fantastic end to that race. I mean, yeah, definitely. As I said under the safety car, every time before tonight, Kalsper hadn't won a race, it was because of some sort of incident. I suppose you could say if it wasn't for the safety car tonight, he might have won. So maybe he'd have thought about staying out. Who knows? Who knows what he would have thought? Absolutely, though, absolutely fantastic race from all these drivers. Really great to see.
Not being a reserve, wasn't it? So, yeah, very good result from Ferreira.
Yes, definitely. And we've got a race winner with us now. A second victory this season. Second one in a row for yourself, Ginger. Absolutely fantastic drive and fantastic battle at the end. Just holding on from Kalsper.
Yeah, I'm still a bit shaking to be honest. Wow, that last battle was something. Yeah, I got lucky with that safety car though. Like Kalsper was definitely gonna get that win, but GG Kalsper for keeping it clean. I think a lot of drivers would have just stick their nose in on a place where it wasn't really there. But yeah, so happy with this win. I was pretty much just driving the perfect race, but that hard medium strategy is just way too quick, but Gauss was also super quick on that first stint, so I was pretty much preparing myself for a P2, but then that safety car came and I know it was going to be a good battle with those softs, and it definitely was. It definitely was, so yeah, so happy with this win. So happy.
Yeah, it definitely was a good battle. Did you consider in qualifying maybe not pushing as hard to start outside the top 10 to get onto that fresh choice of tyres?
Yeah, not really, to be honest. I just wanted to get that pole position because my pace looks super strong. And then with calls for being in P16, I of course knew that hard medium strategy was really good, but I didn't expect it to be that good, to be honest. But, yeah, I considered it maybe one time, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to do soft hard and make the best of it.
Yeah, definitely a great job from yourself, and a great job for the plan who finished in second, Carlsberg, who must have been absolutely gutted when you saw the safety car come out.
I knew I was going to get the move done. I knew I had a bit more pace on the mediums, but that's just part of racing. I don't even know what brought the safety car out, to be honest, because it said no one retired or anything. So
I saw the Renault off, I think.
Yeah, but nothing popped up on my screen, and so that was unfortunate, but it was a bloody great battle at the end, as Ginger said.
Yes, it was indeed. You're now 31 points ahead in the championship. 4 races to go. Ginger just closing up ever so slightly. What do you think is going to be your best race out of the remaining 4?
Probably Bahrain, because USA and Canada's like some of my weaker tracks. Brazil, I haven't really done much of on this game, but yeah, Bahrain I'm looking forward to.
Well, you might have ended up winning the championship by Brazil, so you might not have to worry about not having done any practice by then. So congratulations to yourself. Congratulations also to Ferreira, who decided not to join us, but good job from him in third. And Sam, do you have any questions for our top 2 in the race and top 2 in the championship?
Well, really a question for both of you, like, was when the safety car come out, like, was it in your consideration to go onto the softs, or did you perhaps both think that perhaps the hard or medium tyres could have been the best option, really, just to go to the end? And I'll start with the race winner, Ginger, with that one.
Yeah, I was just pretty much as soon as it came out, I was just like, I need to pit for softs. Since it was only 3 laps, but my hearts were already quite shit at that point in the race. So maybe even if I stayed out, I would have gotten a puncture. So I was like, soft it is, and I knew pretty much everyone else was gonna pit. I was surprised those medium guys actually stayed out at first, but for me it was just straight answer to myself, softs.
Yeah, we'll let that swear word slide a little bit. But on to Casper, do you have similar sort of thing to say, or is it completely different consideration?
Because the reason I didn't start this race on softs was because of the overheating, but because like the car gets lighter and that, and tyre temperature like gets lower, that's when I decided to go on softs. But my main plan was to pretty much do exactly what Ginger did. If he stayed out, I stay out. If he pits, I pit.
Yeah, and do you think there would have been a little bit more issues? Say, for example, I can't remember who the next car on the softs was behind. I think it was Calzo. Do you reckon that perhaps he could have caused an issue? Say you two stayed out, but everyone else still came in. Do you reckon that perhaps any of those guys would have won, or do you reckon that you still probably would have been able to get away with Ginger and win the race?
It's like it just depends on like what people decide to do in that very moment. Like, because if we stayed out and everyone else pit for softs, me and Ginger would have to hope for a miracle to try hold on. But where we literally copied everyone else's strategy apart from the top 2, I'm not sure how far they dropped, but it didn't prove well for them in the end.
Yeah, even comparing it, like, they were on the mediums, and I don't think they were that old for them. And I was already on old hards, and you already saw this, how quick we were just able to overtake them and just pull away. So I think if we would have stayed out, and maybe only 3 people behind were on the softs, we was still no way would have won. So I think going for the softs was definitely the best strategy.
I think it was just also really a risk factor because you didn't know what the guys behind you were going to do, and if you had gone into the pits and everyone else opted to stay out, for example, you would have been down in like 9th or 10th place. So it was a little bit of a risk factor really for those coming into the pits, really including yourself. And was that a little bit of a fear for you, or did you reckon everyone was just going to go into the pits and go on to softs?
Yeah, I expected most of them going for the softs, but like it was pretty much the same as Spain. I now think like we had 3 laps to go, and then some people actually stayed out and they got some good positions. Zach stayed out then and got the win. So maybe if quite a bit of people stayed out, it would have been quite risky. But
We could have had
it was at
another
the
Zandvoort.
yeah. Let's not do that. But yeah, I pretty much at the moment I was like, everyone's gonna bid for sauce. So
Yeah, well, there's no more questions from me.
Yes, so cheers for the question, Sam. Congratulations to our top 2. 31 points separated them now, with only 4 races remaining. Next week, it will be under the lights at the Sakhir International Circuit for round 11 of this championship, the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you want to see some more PSGL action before then, though, and you want to get a bit of a taster of the Bahrain circuit, it is the Formula Performance League, the realistic car performance, tomorrow night, and then we will see the lower tiers on Thursday, mid tiers on Sunday, before we are back alongside F1, F2, F4 and F5 on Monday. But for myself and Sam, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time around.